Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Let's Sew with Nani and I'm a girl Nani. Guys, today I bring you another exciting tutorial on how to make an off-shoulder Princess Dart Bustier Peplum blouse. And now for this project, I'll be needing my shoulder measurement, the bust, the waist, the shoulder to bust point, shoulder to under bust, the shoulder to half length, and here I'll be marking my chest line measurement, and the chest line is derived by dividing your bust measurement by 6 plus 1.5. all right, so this line here is my chest line, this is the bust point, the under bust, and the half length. Guys, if you're new to this channel, you're welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for joining us today. Now I'll be marking half of my shoulder measurement on the shoulder line. Now you'll be wondering, why am I marking the shoulder line or even using the shoulder measurement now when we're making an off shoulder? Please just stay tuned and you'll see why I'm doing this. All right, so on the chest line I also mark the shoulder measurement on the chest line, then I'll just connect that into a straight line. Now because we'll be making a Princess Dart Bustier, I'll be adding 2 inches after the shoulder measurement. Okay, I have a video on my channel on how to make a Princess Dart Bustier, and that video is so detailed. Okay, so if you want to see that video, I'll drop the link in the description box below. Now I'll be connecting the second and the first line I made, then I'll come back down by 5 inches. Okay, now this is constant, the 2 inches is constant, the 5 inches is constant. So I'll repeat that again. On the shoulder line I marked shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus an extra 2 inches. I also did the same thing on the chest line. Okay, then from the shoulder I came down by 5 inches. Now I'm saying that these 2 measurements are constant no matter the bust size I'm working with. Now on the bust point, I'll be marking half of my bust span measurement. Now the bust span for this client is 8 inches divided by 2 gives us 4 plus half inch for now. That's what I marked on the bust point. Then I'll be subtracting half inch from the bust point and mark it on the under bust and on the half length. Then I'll be connecting from the main shoulder line where we came down by 5 inches. I'll connect from that point to the bust point, to the under bust, and to the half length. Okay, so I'll be connecting that. Now I'll be making my under bust curve. All right, so I've shared that video, I've shared that value with us, but it will be right there. It's right there on your screen. So for the bust I'm working with, I'm using 2 inches for the under bust curve. So look at the chart on your screen to know what to use for your under bust curve. So I'll be connecting from the other 2 inches I marked. Okay, the extra 2 inches after the shoulder, I'll connect that to the bust point, then curve it down to the under bust in form of a curve, then take it down to the half length, just to give us that suitable bust curve. All right, so you can see me curving that in sweet bust curve, just to give you the shape of a Princess Dart Bustier. Okay, so now would be a good time to mark your neckline if you're making a full shoulder dress or blouse, but this is an off shoulder, so I wouldn't be marking the neckline and all of that. Right, so I'll be marking my bust divided by 4. Okay, so I'll mark my bust divided by 4, then I'll also add the allowance for that that I'll be cutting, and you can see the difference there, then plus my 3 inches seam allowance. Then the seam allowance is supposed to be 2 inches, but 1 inch for joining the Princess Dart together. All right, so on the waistline I also mark quarter of my waist measurement plus the dart intake. Remember we took our dart, so plus the dart intake, we took a dart of 2 inches, so quarter of the waist plus 2 inches, then plus 3 inches seam allowance. Okay, then I'll connect that into a straight line. Okay, now from that leg, that's from the extra 2 inches we marked on the shoulder line, we'll connect to curve our armhole. Then we can now cut this out. Okay, please, if you want a very detailed video on making this Princess Dart Bustier, I have a very detailed video here on my channel. The title is Tips and Tricks to Making a Perfect Princess Dart Bustier. Also check the description box. I'll be dropping the link to that video so you can have a very extensive and intensive or you get tutorial on how to draft and cut this Princess Dart Bustier. Alright, so I'll be trimming that out. The most important part of this video is how to adapt this to an off shoulder. Excuse me guys. So after cutting out the dart, so this is the side front, then I'll be also cutting out the dart like so. Okay, just follow the method as it's being shown on your screen, then I'll cut through to the shoulder. Alright, so the center, front and the side pieces are out. Okay, so we don't need to start cutting out our neckline, but if you're making a full shoulder, like I said, just draft out your neckline and do your shoulder slope. If you check properly, there is no shoulder slope for this particular project that we've done now, because this is an off shoulder dress. Now I want to make the peplum. Now to make your 360 peplum, we divide the waist by 6.28. so the waist we're working with is 37.5 divided by 6.28, and that would be what will give us the radius we're going to be working with. Now we're going to be adding zip allowance to the back of this, to the back bodice. Okay, so 2 inches zip allowance, that's 2 inches on the left side and 2 inches on the right side, and that'll be 4 inches. So 2 plus 2 is 4. Like I said, 2 inches on the left, 2 inches on the right, and that will be 4. So we're adding 37.5 plus 4 inches. Excuse me guys, and this would give us the full waist measurement we'll be needing, plus our zip allowance inclusive. So that 7.5 plus 4 gives us 41.5. so we're dividing that by 6.28 to get the radius we'll be working with. Okay, please don't get confused by this calculation. That gives us 6.6. so 41.5 divided by 6.28 gives us 6.6. 6.6 is one of the figures, one of the main figures we'll be working with. Now the next thing is to check your measurement chart to get the blouse length of the project or of the client you're working with. Now the blouse length I have, I'll be subtracting the half length from it. So the blouse length is 24 minus 17, which is the half length. Okay, you measure from the shoulder to where the person wants her blouse to end, then from the shoulder to the half length. Okay, so 24 minus 17 gives us 7 plus 1.5, which is seam allowance. Okay, 1 inch for the lower part and 1 inch and half inch to join the peplum to the bodice. Okay, and that is 8.5. now we have two figures now, 6.6 and 8.5. all right, so we'll be adding 6.6 and 8.5 to get the length and the width of the fabric we're going to be cutting out for the peplum. This way, doing this calculation helps you to minimize your fabric, to know the amount of fabric to cut out. Now it gives me 15.1, so I'll just approximate that to 15 inches. Remember how we got 6.6, remember how we got 7.5. okay, so we have two important measurements, 6.6 and 15.1. okay, that's 15. You remember we approximated that to 15. all right, so I'll get my fabric. Okay, so we have 15. I'll be doubling that, okay, because we're going to be folding our fabric into 2. okay, we'll be folding our fabric into 2 first, then into another 2. That'll be 4 folds. So because the fabric is going to be folded into 2 vertically and horizontally, we'll be marking 30 inches, so that's 15 plus 15. okay, so it means that the length of the fabric I'll be cutting out is 30 inches. That's 15 inches in 2 places. 15 plus 15 is 30. So from the edge of the fabric, I'll be marking 30 inches. I'll just make it 31 because of cutting allowance. okay, sometimes when you try to cut out 30, at the end of the day you should have 29.5 or something, so you just add cutting allowance. So on the length here, I've marked out 31. Then for the width, I'll also mark 31. okay, so you can see what I'm doing. that is 31 right there, so 31. So I'll just go and notch it out, then cut that out. So the width and the length of the fabric I'm working with now is 31 inches for the width and the length. Doing this helps me to minimize my fabric. Okay, you're not going to be having an excess or a shortage. Okay, so you just minimize your fabric. If your customer gave you 3 yards, you know that this is what is obtainable. Okay, so I'm cutting this out like so. Please, if you don't know how to use a hand to cut your fabric, I beg you, in the name of God, so you don't ruin your fabric, just gently use your scissors to cut it out. Me, I'm used to this, so I can use my hands to just cut my fabric. Now remember, the length is 31, the width is 31. So I'll be folding on the first 2 folds. So I folded into 2. Okay, you want to make sure that you fold properly, like all the edges are aligning. Okay, so I'll now fold into another 2. That's folding into 4 now. Okay, so folded into the first 2 fold, then into another 2 fold. Okay, I hope I'm explaining this better and in the best way so that you can understand. All right, so when you fold, you make sure that the part that is sealed is facing you, then the open part is facing towards the end of your table. Okay, the part that has all the folds, there is no opening on that fold, is facing you. All right, okay, so that's what you'll be doing. Then from the top part, you mark 6.6 or even mark 15.1. 15, that's what we have, 15. Okay, you can try to mark the 6.6 first or the 15. So for now, I'm marking 15 and I'll be marking it round. Okay, from that top point, I'll just be marking 15 inches round the fabric. Okay, I'm marking 15 inches, so you can see this ends at 15 exactly. Remember, I added extra 1 inch for cutting allowance, so if I hadn't done that, I'll be having a shortage here. All right, so that's why I said whenever you're cutting out your fabric, just make sure you add maybe 1 to half to 1 inch for your cutting allowance. Okay, so after marking the 15 inches, I'll just connect it all around the fabric. Okay, as you can see. So please, my apprentices are just asking so many questions, so forgive me if you see their hands coming into this video, not to confuse you guys. Please don't get confused. So from that top point, I was now marked 6.6. You know, we have 2 figures, 6.6 and 15 inches. So I'm marking 6.6 all round. Okay, you can 6.6, yes, all round 6.6. Okay, now the name of this flare is 360-degree flare. Now there are different types of flare. We have the 180-degree flare, 270-degree flare, 360-degree flare, 1080, that's 1080-degree flare, 1440-degree flare, and other types of flare. So if you want to know how to cut those types of flare, please notify me in the comment section and I'll make the video. Now I've trimmed the lower part that I've marked, that's the 15 inches that I marked round. Okay, now you'll be adding seam allowance for the upper part, for the upper joining. Now we already added the seam allowance when we were taking all those measurements, when we were doing the calculation. So if you don't want to add the seam allowance, then maybe you are minimizing your fabric. What you just do is to add 1 inch for the lower part. Then after drafting this, you can now add your half inch to the upper part. But if you want to have enough more than your actual waist measurement, so that you can either gather or pleat around the waist, you can now mark on the exact 6.6. that's on the exact radius you have. Okay, it will give you a bit of allowance that you can now pleat round the waist. So you can see I have a circle. Now this is a full circle peplum. Okay, so I'll open up one side. All right, so by the time you place, this is how it will be on the waist. Okay, you can see the peplum like so. All right, it's a 360-degree flare. Then you open up one side because that is where you attach the zipper. Okay, from that opening you attach the zipper. Now remember that we marked 2 inches for the zip allowance. Okay, so from that side I'll just mark 2 inches. Now the lower part I also mark the 2 inches. Okay, and just connect it together like so. And what I'll be doing is to notch that part so that when you are attaching the peplum to your fabric, you will just place it on the zip allowance on the bodice, then whatever excess you have, because I just want to have a little bit of excess that I can pleat around the waist. Okay, so this is it. You go and cut your lining, then use the lining to turn the peplum. Okay, so you can see the notch I made there. Alright, so this is how it is. Just cut your lining, use the lining to turn the peplum. Alright guys, so I've turned the peplum with my lining. I've joined the front and the back together. I've even done the off shoulder. Alright, and I'm sorry I couldn't get that video because I did not know my camera wasn't capturing that. Okay, I really apologize for my ineptitude. I'm really sorry guys. I planned to show us the cutting and the sewing part of this tutorial. Right, so I've joined the peplum to the upper bodice, okay, and I'll just go and overlock the edges. So I'll just show us what I did since it did not capture. Okay, I've also turned the upper part with my lining. Okay, so I'll just show us what I did. So what I did was to, after joining the Princess Dart Bustier, okay, because you need to do that before you now do the neck width and the neck depth you want. Okay, so after joining the Princess Dart Bustier, what I did was on my fabric and from the shoulder I came down by 4.5 inches. Okay, because for my off shoulder I want to do a -5. Please ignore my clients, my apprentice's head. Sorry, hair, Abby head. Alright, so I did a -4.5 because I want to have 5 inches up at the end of the day. So, and that part there is my chest line. Okay, so now on the shoulder line I'll -1.5 inches from half of my shoulder measurement because this fabric is on fold. Okay, so the shoulder measurement divided by 2 give us 8 inches. Okay, so I subtracted 1.5 inches there to have 6.5. Okay, so from that 6.5 I connected to the end of the armhole. Okay, that's why I had to mark my chest line there for us to see. Alright, so that's what I did for the front. Then I also did the same thing for the back. Okay, sorry I did not show that video. I really did not know my camera wasn't capturing that. Okay, it was a mistake on my part. I'm really sorry guys. Sorry, please forgive me. Alright, so for the back what I did was to mark my zip allowance. I left zip allowance of 2 inches. Okay, but I already turned the edge with my lining, so it remained with that, and I used half inch, so it's remaining 1.5. so I marked 1.5 there. Then from there I marked the 6.5. remember the shoulder minus 1.5. okay, so I marked that and I connected it to the armhole. Okay, so that's what I did. Now for the neck depth, I came down by 1 inch, then connected it to the edge of the armhole. Okay, this is what I did before turning it with my lining. Okay, so even at the back I sewed in my dart. Okay, because the back also has a dart. You can see I sewed in my dart. So this is the Princess Dart Bustier, fully padded. You can see the bust area, very beautiful. Okay, so I also have a video on my channel on how to pad and join your Princess Dart Bustier. I'll be dropping the link to that video in the description box. So because now that we've missed this video on how to pad this, you can watch that video to know how to pad your Princess Dart Bustier. Now we want to talk about the sleeve. Okay, I want to talk about the sleeve of this dress. Remember I said that the shoulder minus 1.5 inches gave us 6.5. okay, so we have our fabric is folded into 2. okay, 2 for the front, 2 for the back, and that is 4. Remember, we folded the fabric into 2 for the front when we are cutting the front. Also, when you're cutting the back, you fold the fabric into 2. So 2 plus 2 gives us 4. So I'll be multiplying 6.5 by 4. So 6.5 times 4 gives me 26 inches. Okay, this is for the sleeve. We are drafting the sleeve now. So note that we have 26 inches now. Okay, note 6.5. Remember, we took away 1.5 inches from our shoulder. What you can also do is to measure from one end to the other to get your neck width. What we're marking now is neck width, or the upper bust measurement. That is what is called the upper bust. Okay, so on my fabric I have 13 for the front, 13 for the back, and that is 26. The same thing we have. All right. Okay, so measuring on the front, okay, I have 13.5, the back also 13.5, so 13.5 plus 13.5 gives us 26. It's the same thing as 6.5 times 4. Now the round shoulder, this is the round shoulder of this my client, is 43.5. okay, so I'll be subtracting 26 from 43.5. okay, 26 is the upper bust, 43 is the round shoulder. Okay, so you measure around the shoulder, make sure it's firm. Okay, so 43.5 minus 26 gives us 17.5. so for the sleeve, the one we're working with is 17.5. now this is the fabric I'll be using for my sleeve. Okay, so I'll be folding the fabric, my fabric into 4. Now 2 folds for the left hand side of my sleeve. Okay, the first fold for the left hand side of my sleeve, then the second fold for the right hand side of my sleeve. That's why we fold into 4. You can decide to fold this into 2 separately, then after cutting the left hand side, use it to cut the right hand side. Okay, but I do this to save time and energy. Okay, sewing is fun when you know what to do to save energy. Now remember that 43.5 minus 26 gave us 17 inches. Now I have folded into 4 folds. Remember that. Okay, I'll do that again. The first fold, you can see it's 2 one side and the other side, that is 2 folds. All right, so I'll also fold into another 2, which is now 4 folds. Okay, as you can see, 4 folds. So because I have folded into 4, all right, because I folded into 4, I will be marking 17, that 17 that we have, okay, divided by 4. Remember we had 17, 43.5 gave us 17, so 43.5 minus 26 gave us 17, so 17 minus divided by 4, sorry, that is what I have marked here. Now I also came down by ½ inch because I'll be using my lining to turn this upper part. Okay, I'm using the line to turn the upper part of the sleeve. So what I did was now to get the back fabric. Okay, you make sure you use the back for this. So I place the back on that 4 inch because what I have is 4.3. okay, 17 divided by 4 give me 4.3, so I marked 4.3 on my fabric. Then I'll use the back part to place it, okay, making sure the edge of my armhole is on that 4.3. then I'll trace it out. This saves you the stress, the unnecessary stress of marking the cap height, blah 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 blah, and having issues. Okay, so from that point I'll just mark my sleeve length. Okay, there are 1.5 inches for hemming my sleeve, and that is it for your off shoulder sleeve. It's so easy, like you just need the round shoulder and the upper bust measurement. Okay, and the upper bust is derived by measuring your neck width for the front and the back. Now on the sleeve length, I'll mark my round sleeve measurement. The round sleeve is 14 divided by 2 gives us 7, plus my 2 inches or 1.5 inches seam allowance, whichever one you prefer. Alright, so that is just it. I would cut this out. Remember, on the top I left ½ inch that I will use to turn my lining, because I like to have all the edges of my fabric turned with the lining for a very clean finishing. I like to do a clean finishing. Okay, the parts you can't do clean finishing for, you use your serger to overlock the edges. Alright, so when I open this, I'll be having 2 sleeves, and that is what I planned to achieve by folding my fabric into 4. So it gave me one sleeve for the left hand side and the other sleeve on the right hand side. Okay, so I'll just go turn it with my lining and attach it to my top. Okay, so if you see when I place this, it is properly aligning to the end of my armhole. You can see, so beautiful. So if you found this video helpful, please don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, try to watch the ads, turn on the notification bell so you get notified each time I upload a new video, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.